talk about five kingdom classification. When we talk about five kingdom classification, which is given by R.H. Whitaker, in this, all the living organism present in the universe, present on Earth, divided into five classes. That is, Monera, all prokaryotic bacteria are coming into this. Protista, unicellular eukaryotes are coming under Protista. Fungi, eukaryote, multicellular plant, all plants are coming under Plantae and Animalia. Done. So these are the five system of classification given by R.H. Whitaker. On the basis of cell structure, body organization, mode of nutrition, where they are autotrophic, they are making their own food, or they are dependent on somebody else for the food, heterotrophic. Whether if they are heterotrophic, how they are taking their food. Either they are completely saprophytic, depends on the living dead material, whatever there in the earth, or they are basically depending on some other animals. Then kingdom Monera include prokaryotes, mainly Monera include all the bacteria. Kingdom Protista include unicellular eukaryote. Kingdom Fungi include again organism which will have their cell wall is made up of chitin, saprophytic living on dead material, as well as parasitic mode of nutrition. Every time when they are taking food means they are harming someone. Phylogenetic relationship means they are their evolutionary relationship, based on their evolutionary relationship. Reproduction, whether asexual or sexual, which kind of reproduction they are doing. So these are few classification, a few points are there. Okay, let's move. Now, kingdom Plantae is basically having their cell wall is made up of cellulose and having autotrophic mode of nutrition. Plants can do photosynthesis very easy. Animalia, they don't have cell wall and their mode of nutrition is holozoic. That means they can take their food, ingest it, digest it, absorb, and finally excrete the waste material. Parasitic mode of nutrition is also there in Animalia. Kingdom Monera shows the most extensive metabolic diversity, followed by Kingdom Protista. Why? Because they are having highly diversification of group of bacteria that we will see today only. The classification is based on the needs and can be further subjected to change depending upon the requirements. So slowly we'll move, but first we'll read about this five kingdom classification, then you will understand it is not the one classification. There is a lot history is there for this, how to classify, who classified first. So first scientist came who classified the all living organism was Aristotle. After Aristotle, Linnaeus came. They both given the two kingdom classification. Both were on the different basis. Then three kingdom classification, four kingdom classification. Everything we are going to read now. But before than that, first let's have a little introductory video on five kingdom.
Whitaker. In the year 1969, what he did, he introduced a kingdom, and that's kingdom fungi. So before this, we had talked about the four kingdom system of classification. Right now, it's the most widely followed, and that's the five kingdom system of classification proposed by Whitaker. Here, kingdom fungi was introduced. Now let's see what Whitaker did and how he classified. What were the bases? This system of classification were based on these criteria. Look, cell structure, body organization, mode of nutrition, reproduction, and the phylogenetic relationships. Let's see how this classification can be done. Think about the organisms. The first level of classification there, they were divided into prokaryotes, kingdom Monera, and the eukaryotes. Other than Monera, all are eukaryotes. Fine. Now next level, divided eukaryotes into two categories, multicellular and unicellular. Fine. Complexity of the organisms, multicellular, unicellular. Unicellular, what are they? The protists, right? Now see, taking multicellular eukaryotes, it has been classified into the cells or organisms where the cells does not have a cell wall, absence of cell wall. They are the animals, kingdom Animalia. On the other hand, cells which had cell wall, and they are kingdom, they will be majorly the kingdom Fungi and Plantae. Got it? Well, now talking about cell wall present here, again the next level of classification based on mode of nutrition. See here, autotrophic, kingdom plants, the kingdom Plantae, plants, and heterotrophs, fungi. Got it? Now I'll show you a very nice demonstration, very easy way of remembering and relating this. See here, at the base, the prokaryotes, unicellular organisms, they are prokaryotic, unicellular. Got it? Kingdom Monera. Please try to note, we are talking about the direction of evolution here, from bottom to top. Got it? Okay. Now, talking about complexity of cells, prokaryotes, and then I talk about eukaryotes, but here I'm again talking about the unicellular eukaryotes. Unicellular eukaryotes, kingdom Protista. Now, based on complexity of organisms, now complexity, increasing of complexity. So what happens? Unicellular, then evolution, what happens? Multicellular. Got it? So here, what I have is kingdom Plantae, kingdom Fungi, and kingdom Animalia. Talking about kingdom Plantae, let's try to classify based on mode of nutrition now. Kingdom plants, the plant kingdom rather, they're all autotrophs, photosynthetic, correct? They can synthesize their own food. Fungi, heterotrophic mode of nutrition. And the other consumers, or other, I'm talking about kingdom Animalia, they are heterotrophic. Fine. See here, if I talk about the ecological role here, the plants are the producers, fungi, all of us know, they are the decomposers, and rest, they are all consumers. We are also consumers. Got it? Let's talk about the mode of nutrition. Can we classify that? Yes, we can. We can classify. Mode of nutrition, the basic classification, autotrophic and heterotrophic. As the name suggests, auto, self. It can be categorized into two types. Again, photoautotrophic, using photo, light, yes. And chemoautotrophs, that means using chemicals. Got it? And heterotrophic organisms or heterotrophic mode of nutrition is basically who cannot synthesize their own food, that depend on others, rather the producers, for their food. See, they can be holozoic, saprophytic, and parasitic. So these were the modes of nutrition.
Anything which you haven't understood till here? Okay, let's see the classification history. First one, as I told, given by the Aristotle. Okay, two kingdom classification, where he divided everything into plant and animals. Okay, plants, when he saw the soft stem, one woody stem, that is trees, several woody stem shrubs. Animals divided on the basis of presence of RBC, if with RBC aneima, without RBC aneima. Habitat, those who are staying in air, like birds, air dweller, water animals are water dweller, land animals or terrestrial are the land dwellers. Very basic classification was there, but in his classification there is no mention of prokaryote, eukaryote, there is no mention of multicellular, unicellular, so it's a complete collapse. Then again, Linnaeus came with the two kingdom classification, and Linnaeus has done his classification. Again, he divided into two, like plant and animal kingdom, and on the basis of presence or absence of cell wall. So there is again he haven't mentioned unicellular or multicellular organism, prokaryotic, eukaryotic differentiation was not there, as well as photosynthesis and non-photosynthetic, both he'll keep into one section. That is not at all possible, right? So this two kingdom classification again failed. So let's see Aristotle two kingdom classification as well as the Linnaeus two kingdom classification.
I should mention about the famous person, and that's, yes, the one and only Aristotle. He is the person who first scientifically tried, or rather, I should say, who first tried to provide a scientific basis in the classification system. Because before this, we talked about mostly it was based on the need. Now, this is the first time he tried this out. And you know, when the time frame I'm talking about, it's about near about 350 BC. Way back, way back. Okay, so well, this person, he's known as the father of biology. So he provided the first or earliest scientific classification, and that was based on the morphological characteristics. And this was the classification. Based on the morphological characteristics, he classified the living organisms into two groups, the plants and the animals. Fine? Okay. Now, let's look into what actually he classified, or rather, what was the classification and what were the groups in which he classified the living organisms. Well, as I told you, plants and animals. These were the major groups. And within this, first, if I talk about plants, there were three groups. Soft stem, that means these are the herbs. The plants with one woody stem, these were referred to as the trees, and the plants with several woody stems, they are referred to as the shrubs. So, three categories, herbs, trees, and shrubs. Fine, clear? And the basis is, the factors are really easy. See, soft stem, one woody stem, and several woody stems. That was about plants. Now, what about the animals? Let's see. Two major criteria were used. Two major criteria. The habitat and the presence or the absence of red blood. These were the two major criteria. Now, based on habitat, you know, what was done? Three groups. Three groups. Air dwellers. These were the ones which could fly, like the birds. Water dwellers. These which could swim, which mostly lived in water. And of course, the third one is land dwellers, which lived on land. Now, on the basis of presence and absence of red blood, there were two categories. Of course, one which had red blood, which were called anema, and anema, which did not have red blood. Okay, see, these two names are quite similar. Pronunciation is quite similar, enema and anema. Now, how do you remember? If you have heard about a condition, it's a disease condition which is called anemia. A person who is anemic, that person's body lacks the good quality and good quantity of RBCs. Okay, they don't have proper good number of RBCs. Fine, so that is anemic condition. Well, this is a very overall term I'm using for anemia. You are going to study in detail about this condition. So if you relate that, then you can relate it with this one, anemia. That is without red blood. And the other one, enema, is with red blood. Do you understand? These were the major categories. Fine? Well, this was good, right? He tried it for the first time, given some scientific basis. But the problem is, it's not perfect. So we need to talk about the merits and the demerits. Again, why? Why do you need to study that? Because if it has some demerits, then we can work on it, we can improve it, we can modify it. There can be some advancements that can be done. Yes, that's the reason we have to study the merits and the demerits. The merit was, of course, this was the first attempt by anyone to do some scientific classification. Yes. But the demerit was that the evolutionary relationships were not considered. And you know, right now, if you really want to classify organisms, if you really want to establish a relationship between different organisms that are present, then we need to know about the evolutionary history. That was not considered. Because of the fact that he grouped organisms based on the habitat, then what happened, you know, the unrelated organisms, they were grouped into the same group because the basis was based on habitat.
Any doubt, ma'am? Is there any organism that doesn't have RBC? One good example is earthworm, prawn. They don't have RBC. Okay, with RBC, you know, example. So yeah, basically, earthworm will have some ferritin in their blood. Snails doesn't have RBC. Hemocyanin will give the blue color. They do. That's why there will be a bluish color will be there. So let's move for the Linnaeus two kingdom classification.
Yes, Carolus Linnaeus. You have heard about this person when we talked about scientific naming, binomial nomenclature. Yes. So Carolus Linnaeus is known as the father of systemic biology or the systematic biology. Also, he is known as the father of what? We talked about it. Father of taxonomy. Fine. He's a great contributor to biology, to science. And he wrote these two, remember, Species Plantarum, and the 10th edition was Systema Naturae. His classification was two kingdom classification, Plantae and Animalia. Fine, quite similar. But you know what he used? He used some different factors. And his major classification was based on the presence or the absence of cell wall. He did consider other characteristics also, but the major one that you have to understand when you talk about Linnaeus' system of classification, that is two kingdom classification, it's the presence or the absence of cell wall. Well, see, plants were classified or grouped into one category based on they had cell wall, they had central vacuole in the cell, and the ability to manufacture food because of the presence of what? Chlorophyll. Yes. Now talking about the animals. What will be the characteristic features? Yes, they don't have cell wall, you know it. They don't have central vacuole in the cell, and they are heterotrophs. I'll talk about this more of nutrition later. So they cannot manufacture their own food. They do not have chlorophyll. So these were the basis on which the two kingdom classification was given. But people over there at that point of time raised a lot of questions, a lot of objections to this theory. So what were the questions? See, he did not classify did not differentiate rather between the eukaryotes and prokaryotes, which we know is very, very different. Right now, you know this. Prokaryotes and eukaryotes, they're very different. So he did not consider that. That's a point to be questioned on. So what happened is like the bacteria, blue-green algae, fungi, mosses, ferns, gymnosperms, angiosperms, all were placed under plants, which is not correct, which cannot be correct. They are quite different from each other. Okay, and this was done due to the presence of cell wall. No distinction between unicellular and multicellular organisms. Again, that's an important criteria. Unicellular and multicellular. Okay. Also, fungi was placed with the plants, and the characteristic features of fungi is quite different from that of the plants. So it is again not correct. We did not distinguish between the photosynthetic algae, non-photosynthetic fungi. Fine. And what happened is, because of all these, just the two kingdom classification, what happened is a large number of organisms did not fall into either category. So many organisms could not be accommodated because of different characteristic features, and they could not be accommodated into the plant and the animal kingdom.
the two kingdom classification that is given by the Carolus Linnaeus, father of systematic biology. Uh, he wrote two books like Species Plantarum, Systema Natura. Main, basically presence or absence of cell wall. He divided all the section, but major drawback was he haven't classified whether the unicellular, multicellular, prokaryote, eukaryote, photosynthetic, non-photosynthetic. Now, this is not only the way. Actually, after two kingdom classification, sudden five kingdom classification haven't came. So there was a scientist known as Ernest Haeckel. Ernest Haeckel came with a hack. What was the hack? What he did, he put all the unicellular, actually not unicellular, all the microorganisms into one kingdom. He put all the microorganism into one kingdom, named that kingdom as Protista. So this Protista name has been given by scientist Ernest Haeckel, and this made, so one will become Protista, plant kingdom, and another was animal kingdom. So this three was three kingdom classification. But again, if you all organism if you put only in one or like kingdom, then you cannot define them as a unicellular and multicellular, right? Because there are many unicellular organisms are also there, many multicellular is also there. Both are, you can't able to see. They are in that way. So again, the second next scientist came, Copeland. What Copeland has done? Copeland has included Monera. And what he has done, kept all the unicellular as well as prokaryotes. All prokaryote he has included in Monera. Eukaryote was unicellular eukaryote was Protista. Plant and animal, perfectly fine. But there was another one issue with the four kingdom classification. What was the issue with the four kingdom classification? That couldn't able to classify fungi in them. Why? Because in fungi there are few examples where there which are first they kept into plant kingdom. Why? Because they have cell wall. So they have cell wall. Their cell wall is made up of chitin. Yeah, this has to be 3-4 scientist names are there, Sanya. I have to keep in mind because questions will come sometime. Fungi cell wall made up of chitin, so they kept in planting. But if you see fungi's food habit, it is matching with the animalia. So what they are complete heterotrophs. So they removed from plant and kept in animal. Now what they are saying that they don't have cell wall. Animals doesn't have cell wall. Fungi is having cell wall. Again not matched. Put into a protista, but all the fungi are eukaryotes. You cannot keep in protista. They are showing higher functions like plant. Protists are unicellular eukaryotes. Unicellular eukaryotes are protist. So this fungi was the issue. Few example of fungi. Next five kingdom classification, R.H. Whitaker came. He told fungi, all the organism kept in separate kingdom and called that kingdom as fungi. Okay. So like this R.H. Whitaker given the five kingdom classification. But do you know that R.H. Whitaker given five kingdom classification, there was drawback in that also. Again, one scientist came, Carl Woese. He given six kingdom classification. But widely accepted was five kingdom classification. Why? Whitaker did a small mistake. What was that mistake? He has kept chlorella and chlamydomonas. These both are algae. They both can do photosynthesis. This both can do photosynthesis. They are autotrophic in nature. He kept both of them with paramecium and amoeba in Protista, and paramecium and amoeba both are heterotrophic in nature. He did this mistake. Because of that, Carl Woese came and given the six kingdom classification. But when the scientists have overall saw all the kingdoms, so widely accepted was five kingdom classification. Later on in five kingdom classification, they have made a small correction that Chlorella and Chlamydomonas removed from Protista and kept under plant kingdom. Done. So this was a few like information which I wanted to tell you. Santosh saying something, you raised hand.
Ma'am, actually, that sixth, like the sixth time of the sixth kingdom classification, ma'am. Actually, the car was what he did is like he splitted that mono as arc bacteria and eubacteria, correct, ma'am? Is that clear?
Yeah, actually what he done, no, he have classified everything into three domain. One was archaea domain, eukarya domain, and the next one